Hey good people, and welcome back to the channel. In a few moments, I'll be sharing my thoughts and feelings on episode 8 of season 15's Naked and Afraid. And just like with my previous reviews, I'll be talking about the two survivalists for the challenge, the location, and how these two survivalists did as a team. So without any further delay, let's jump right in. For episode 8's challenge, we have the two survivalists Candace and Joe. Candace was promoted as somebody who grew up hunting and fishing, and we see a montage of her using a bow and arrow. So while she comes to the challenge with experience, she doesn't have that experience hunting while naked or under duress. Joe, on the other hand, had experience being an Eagle Scout, and he has 20 years in the military. So Joe does have experience with basic training and survival skills. From a personality standpoint, it seemed very early on that Candace was coming off as a nice feminist who was set on proving that she could do anything that a man could do, whereas Joe was coming off as a guy that liked to joke around and go along to get along. So before the challenge even started, I was somewhat hopeful that these two would get along for the bulk of the challenge. And for this challenge, the survivalists had to do their 20-day stretch in Zambia, which is in Africa. Now, you all know by now how I feel about the desert challenges for this season. I must say that this environment was probably one of the easiest for the survivalists if you compare all the environments for the season. For this environment, the survivalists didn't have to worry too much about bugs, about finding water, there was an ample supply of animals to hunt, and the temperatures weren't too extreme. So what on earth could have possibly gone wrong for them in this challenge? Apparently a lot. Now when Joe and Candace initially met, their chemistry was 10 out of 10. They seemingly had a great system set up in that Joe would handle the water situation, Candace would handle the hunting, and they would both help with the shelter, and as a team, they knocked it out of the park the first episode. They did an amazing job completing their shelter, getting their fire going, and getting water all on day one. However, it all went downhill from there when it came to hunting. Joe completely depended on Candace for food, and Candace wasn't having any luck with her bow and arrow, despite there being so many animals to choose from. As the days went on, despair set in with Candace, and Joe would never help out with the hunting, at least not from what we saw in the episode. Candace eventually reached her breaking point due to the hunger, and having stepped out on several thorns, and she's tapped out despite pleas from Joe and the producer. Now when it comes to tapping out, I feel that the survivalists on the show should tap out whenever their health is in jeopardy, or when they know they're going to hold their teammate back. In this case, I think that Candace was just over the whole situation, and she just didn't want to be there anymore. And as I said previously, this could have been in part because Joe wasn't pitching in with the hunting as much as he could have. I also think in the grand scheme of things, Candace may have wished that she had brought some fishing hooks instead of a bow and arrow. But if I had to rate this episode, I would definitely give it a D+, and I gave it such a low rating because of the editing. I believe that Candace left around day 4, which left Joe by himself for the remainder of the challenge. Joe made several attempts to hunt, but he was largely unsuccessful. Yet miraculously, he made it to the end of the challenge. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but this episode didn't show Joe catching any food, or eat anything. Yet the show wants me to believe that Joe made it through 21 days only on water, and he had the energy to walk several miles to his extraction point. I gotta call BS on that. And either production intervened off camera so that Joe could finish the challenge, or production shortened the challenge so that Joe could leave early while making it seem like he lasted the entire time. To me, if either scenario is true, then it takes away from the legitimacy of the show, but I still like watching it nonetheless. So this marks the end of the review. I realize that I've been late posting my reviews for this season, but I would like to thank all those that have checked out my reviews and left comments letting me know what you thought about the episodes. I think there are 2 more episodes for this season, and my plan is to post reviews for those episodes a day or 2 after they air. But if you want to leave a comment about this review or the episode, feel free to do so and I'll be replying to it. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.